Hi, and welcome back to another episode of 10 Intentional Minutes with Janine. Today we are looking at leadership and leadership growth and why most people fail and don't push through to level 5 leadership. Well, the story starts here with the 3 pillars of leadership. I firmly believe that leadership is built on 3 pillars. Those pillars are self-leadership, servant leadership, and transformational leadership. It's built on the principle that you start out leading yourself, and through that self-discipline and that self-control, you grow into be able to lead a bigger group of people that is close to you, maybe your direct circle of influence. And then from servant leadership, where you serve, you grow then to impact into transformational leadership, which is a much larger group of people, even on a global scale. So self-leadership requires you to master your impulses and your desires to make decisions that lines up with your purpose. Think about this. In the Greek, the word self-control, enkrateia, means that you are mastering your impulses and desires to make decisions. You're mastering your impulses and your desires to make decisions. What is the definition of self-leadership? Self-leadership is guiding yourself in alignment with your purpose. You are exercising self-control and discipline throughout your process. You emphasize stewardship of the gifts that you have and putting that into the lives of others and also helping them to develop their own. I look at the process of leadership as a fruit that goes through the phases of development. If we look at how a plant or a tree grows, we're looking at the seed, the root, the shoot, the fruit, as well as the flower. So let's look at how that impacts the phases of leadership. Phase number 1 would be your planting stage or your seed stage. Everything starts with a seed. So in this phase of entrepreneurship or this phase of leadership, foundations of leadership is formed. The seed must be planted in fertile soil or for it to grow. So the leader must first establish the foundation in purpose and values. So where are you placing your seed in order to grow? Whether it's leadership seed, whether it's a seed of business, whether it's a seed of growth, personal or professional, it needs to be planted in fertile soil or a growth environment where you are able to be fed the nutrients that you need in order to grow. This stage that you are in, the seed stage, involves that you recognize the need for discipline in your life and laying a groundwork for personal growth. The seed stage is a stage of self and personal development. It's about intentionality, discipline, and learning habits. This is the place where you're going to develop a clear vision for leadership, a clear vision for your business, clear vision for entrepreneurship, or even a clear vision for your team. When you start out this journey, you do so through a lot of self-reflection and analogy. You're going to analyze your progress throughout the whole time. There is a famous quote that says, what you don't measure, you don't manage. That's from Peter Drucker. So you need to measure who you are through self-reflection so that you can manage the changes. Let's look at the next stage of germination with a fruit or a plant. That will be your root stage. Now, the root stage is the place where internal development is going to be taking place. Now, that seed is now starting to take root, but it's all below the surface. And that symbolizes the unseen work that you have to do on your character while you are building it. It's also a place of self-discipline and self-control. Remember the word self-control? It's to manage your impulses or your inner desires. Now, self-control begins now to emerge as a habit. So at this stage, as a leader, as a boss, as an entrepreneur, even as a manager, you develop the habits of discipline, patience, and perseverance. You're going to develop the habits of discipline, patience, and perseverance. Something that I love that I learned was habit stacking. So by the time you get to the root stage, you've already developed some self-control and some discipline within the within the seed stage, and now you can work on habit stacking, where the habits that you've already created, you can now improve and you can make even better. Imagine how your measuring stick will start to change. But in the root stage, you are learning to develop habits of discipline, patience, and perseverance. This, once again, is below the surface development of your character where no one can really see what's happening. It's an inward process of preparation for your heart. For what? For greater responsibility. The root stage is an inward process of preparation for greater responsibilities. In this stage, you're going to be identifying two things, your strengths as well as your weaknesses. I often ask my clients this question: what are you good at? What are you great at? And what can nobody beat you at? I like to focus on my strengths because when I focus on my strengths, my progress is so much faster. And then I hire people or make use of other skills in my team in order to work on my weaknesses. So what are you good at? What are you great at? What can nobody beat you at? This is the time we are cultivating daily habits of reflection. Think about the things that you are thinking about. And then you set your personal boundaries to protect you from or to protect your emotional health and to protect you from atmospheres, places, groups, and people or environments that is going to stagger your growth. This is the time where you set boundaries. What do you stand for and what don't you stand for? How does your future look? Who do you need to surround yourself with? I've always said this, and Jim Rohn has this quote that show me the books you read and I'll show you your future. Show me the people around you and the 5 people closest to you, I'll show you your future. That is still relevant today. So you need to build deep roots to stand firm in your boundaries, because the next phase is the growth phase or the shoot stage. Now, this would be where all the work that you've put into now in that dark and deep place underground where nobody saw, now it's going to be showing to other people. So the shoot stage is an outward expression of your leadership. The shoot begins to emerge above the surface. Now, this symbolizes the visible development of your leadership qualities. All that work that you've put into now is now starting to show above the surface. This is where others now begin to notice your leadership growth. This is now where self-control extends outward and it's manifesting in your interactions with people, in your daily decision making, and also in your ability to manage stress and conflict. The shoot stage is an outward expression of your leadership, and now people are starting to notice. What are the things that you need to focus on here for your leadership growth? First of all, you need to develop your rational skills and emotional intelligence. A lot of leaders are walking around with low emotional intelligence skills or rational skills, the skills to make quick, fast, and good decisions, the skills to manage stress as well as conflict. Learning to navigate these challenges, you have to now navigate it with grace and with integrity. Leaders are people of integrity. They are problem solvers, and they take people to places that person has never been before. They spot the talents and the potential within people, and they develop it, and then they take them on this journey of personal fulfillment, passion, as well as calling. When we're speaking about the shoot stage or the growth stage, you have to balance or personal growth with responsibilities to other. Now, I say balance so that we all understand what I'm talking about, but I want to give you my definition of balance. I don't speak about balance, because the moment I speak about balance, the moment something is in balance, something else is out of balance. So you're trying the entire time to basically play this balancing act that is extremely tiring, and it does not work in the long run. Leaders burn out because they're trying to balance too many things instead of integrating it. So now that we understand what I mean with balance, I don't mean balance, I mean integration. So in the growth stage, you have to integrate your personal growth with your responsibility to others. You are still responsible for your self-control, for your self-development, for your discipline that's now turned into habits. You are still responsible for that personal growth, but you are also responsible for the growth of others around you. As leaders grow, their foundation ensures that they remain steadfast and authentic. If your foundation and your root system is not strong, you won't be a steadfast or authentic leader. Let's talk about the flowering stage. Now you're growing into the more mature stage of leadership. So, the flowering or the maturity stage reminds me of my second pillar of leadership, the phase of leadership that I call servant leadership. Now, this is the place where the plant starts to flower and it's preparing, not yet, it's only preparing to bear fruit. This stage represents the maturity of you as a leader, where you are now fully embracing the role of serving and inspiring others. This is the place where self-control now matures into a consistent ability to prioritize the needs of others. This is the place where self-control matures into a consistent ability to prioritize others' needs, but also where the place where you lead with humility and you stay focused on the mission. It's the place where you lead with humility and stay focused on the mission. Maturity stage or the flowering stage, you are not yet bearing fruit, but you are preparing and you are walking into the place of a maturity as a leader. This is the place where you're going to your self-control matures into a consistent ability to prioritize the need of others. You lead with humility and you stay focused on the vision. How can you grow that further in this stage? Well, number one, 3 things you can do here. You can empower others through mentorship and through guidance. That's what leaders do. They guide people along their journey. They mentor them along their journey. You have self-control, you have discipline, you have habits. You consistently and continuously developing your self-growth. You've got a strong root system. You're surrounded with the correct people, correct atmosphere. You walk into the right rooms that is conducive to growth. And then what you do, number 2, is you leading them with humility and servant-heartedness. Remember, a big thing about the flowering stage or the maturity stage is the servant leadership. This is truly the stage where you come out and you serve the purposes and the visions of others. In this stage, number 3, what you're supposed to be doing is to create an environment for trust and collaboration. You create an environment of trust and collaboration, because that's the place where other seeds will start to grow, in an environment of trust and collaboration. Community is so important in the times that we live in, and I firmly believe that community is the currency of the future. So as a leader, it's part of your responsibility to build environments, more than one, of trust and collaboration where others have the ability to grow. Leaders bloom when they shift their focus from themselves to others. Leaders bloom when they shift their focus from themselves to others. That now leads us to the next stage, which is the 5th stage, the bearing fruit or legacy stage. One of my favorites. Very few people make it there or to this stage because they struggle to bloom when they not focused on themselves. They're more focused on themselves than others. Remember that statement I made. Leaders bloom when they shift their focus from themselves to others. So most leaders only get to stage 3 because stage 4 requires you to take the focus of yourself and now focus on others. Then when you get to the bearing fruit stage or the legacy stage, you are now entering the stage of transformational leadership. Transformational leadership is filled with leaders that are gritty, leaders that are full of grit. Now, grit stands for growth, resilience, intentionality, and transformation. Transformational leadership is where your plant now bears fruit. The fruit or your seed that you've planted has been in the right environment. You've developed yourself. You are developing the people around you. Your focus has shifted from yourself to others, and now you are actually bearing fruit. People can see the results of what you have placed into the lives of others. That's how leaders bear fruit, is if we can see the results in the lives of people around us. You're bearing fruit, and it's symbolizing your lasting impact in your community, in your organization, or even in your sphere of influence. The fruit contains seeds that can now grow into new plants, and that represents the multiplication of leadership. Leadership is meant to multiply, and you're only going to reproduce the same fruit as the seed that you've sown. And that's the beauty of leadership, is we go from the seed phase to the root phase, to the blooming phase, the sprouting phase, to the maturity stage where you can see the flower, and then to the fruit, just to start back at the seed for multiplication of leadership. So the seed that you carry on the inside of you will bear fruit, and once again, multiplication will take place in the lives of more people. This is the place where the leader demonstrates that he is fully aligned with his purpose while he's maintaining self-control, even in the face of success and challenges. Remember, right in the beginning, I spoke about in phase 2 that you have to look at self-control, how you're going to face success, but also how you're going to be facing challenges. You're going to develop emotional intelligence and the skills in order to solve conflict or to even move through different stages in your life. There is actually a thing called the fear of success. So some people can deal with challenges, but they can't deal with success. What is blocking you from your next level of leadership? Now, you demonstrate at this stage that you are fully aligned with your purpose and the purpose of others. You're maintaining self-control even in the face of success and challenges. Now you inspire others to grow and to bear much fruit. What are the things that you need to look out for and develop in this phase of leadership? This is the phase where you're creating legacy by equipping and empowering future leaders. This is the place where you're creating legacy. In other words, many years to come, generational impact by equipping and empowering future leaders. This is the place where generational impact happens through mentorship and discipleship, and you remain steadfast and consistent in your action. You're taking every single thing that you've learned, right from the seed to the root to sprouting to bearing flowers to bearing fruit, and you keep being steadfast and consistent in your actions that you take towards people. The ultimate goal of leadership is, at the end of the day, to bear fruit that reflect your character. So it's important to start when nobody's watching, so that when everybody's watching, you stay consistent and you stay focused. Let's think about this, that pillar 1, which is self-leadership, grows right into, notice the word grows, it takes time, right into the second pillar of leadership called servant leadership, and then once again grow into third pillar of leadership, which is transformational leadership. I love servant leadership. It reminds me of the selfless commitment that we prioritize the needs of others and their growth, as well as the well-being of others, and we prioritize that over our own needs. So it's rooted in humility. That's the thing with servant leadership. It's rooted in humility. It's rooted in sacrifice and honestly genuine love for the growth of others that you lead. And then transformational leadership to end it off with that is transformational leadership is generational. Generational, legacy changing impact that you are making in the lives of hundreds, thousands, and even millions of people. So I want to ask you today, where do you find yourself in your leadership journey, and what is the next stage and step that you need to take? You are welcome to send me a message or to get in contact for a consultation session if you need me to help you to grow to your next level of leadership. You don't have to be stuck at the root stage. You don't have to be stuck at the shoot stage. I can help you to push through from level 3, level 4, even level 1 leadership to recognize your next level of potential. What are you waiting for? Let's get to work.